Hey guys, Louis here, and it's my mission to aid your awakening. And in this video, we're going to do it slightly differently. We're going to do a long form video, and I'm going to talk about the feeling of being lost, which is so common. I hear from everyone that being lost, it happened to me for a long time. Very stressful situation to be in, but it was actually a great sign. Being lost is a great sign you're on the right path. So we're going to jump into this video, guys. I hope it's helpful. I'm just going to talk about the transition that happens when you start to embody a state of presence and you start dealing with that initial, your initial trauma start coming up. You're dealing with insecurities, things you've had just under the surface starting to appear, and your beliefs will go. For a time, you won't know who you are. You're in a space of the unknown. But that space of the unknown is a space which has all the potential. And as you start to experience this, guys, it's going to be like a window-like phase into the new you that's coming through. So my advice is just trust, and you'll see where you end up. It's going to be great. You're on the right path on the other side. We'll jump into it. So my introduction may have been a bit confusing. Why is feeling lost good? So I'll just ask you now, has things been changing a lot? If you like my content, if you look into this kind of stuff, if this resonates with you, then it's likely your life has experienced that great change in the perception of reality, that great change in how things feel in your body and how things work in your mind. Maybe your mind's slowed down now. But why is being lost, not knowing who I am anymore, a great thing? It's a good thing because now you're coming into a greater space, because you're going into a transitional phase where you realize you're no longer just your body, realize you're no longer just your mind. And all these things that you thought you were are falling away. But let's look into the things that are actually falling away. What are they? Most of who you think you are comes from your conditioning, things that you never chose to be. So can't you see that you were locked into a life before of falsehoods? And what are these falsehoods connected to? They're connected to things of your past. They're connected to how your parents brought you up. They're connected to things you never necessarily chose. Most people define themselves and like to make excuses about the way they are because they haven't done the work into asking where that behavior began. Where did I begin being nervous? Where did I begin fearing certain things? You're going into this space now and questioning all that. So what's falling away and seem like you're losing in your life isn't actually who you are, because you are the consciousness. You are the greater being. So fair enough. You feel lost, but it's a good sign because you're going through this transitional window into embodying the person who you really are. But first you must tackle a lot of pain, a lot of things on the surface. Your life's changed upside down, and the reason for that is because your filter, your perception is being cleansed of your associations, of your beliefs. When you tap in and you're coming into your intuition, your higher self doesn't have all these beliefs and opinions. It doesn't have all these preconditioned ideas of what's what. Your filter's being cleansed. You're seeing reality more for what it is. And as a result, you can see pain in others. You can see what is causing other people to act that way. You're overall becoming much wiser. Though at the time, you kind of want to go back to being that person. You kind of want to go back to being that little me that you were before. Because anyone could ask you, what do you like? What sort of interests do you have? What sort of, what do you enjoy doing? What do you not enjoy doing? What don't you like? Everyone likes to talk about what they don't like. Most of some people's personalities are made up of things they just don't like, things they like to complain about. And they think that's a personality. That's just your pain body. So once you start letting go of this pain, you start really feel like you're losing who you are, but you're just losing the falsehoods and you're coming more into the truth. Now is the time for, instead of feeling like you're losing yourself, is not to redefine who you are in a different way. Once the box has been opened, you can't close the lid again and say, okay, maybe I didn't like that person, but I want to create a whole nother person. The whole idea of personhood has been blown wide open. The whole idea of being a person. Because now you're realizing you and other people, we're all connected, we're all part of the same consciousness. So this feeling of being lost just shows you're on the right path. And it happened to me for a very long time. 2017, I felt I just didn't know who I was anymore. And I almost wanted to look into other interests and try and pull together again that old person I used to have, all these interests and likes, etc. But these things come again. You just need to give trust and tap into that intuition, tap into yourself, and go with the flow. Instead of creating opinions for yourself on who you are, instead tap in to all the subtle signs that the universe is trying to tell you right now. Because you're going through this experience, The universe is conspiring to work for you, on your side. But you need to be aware of the little things now, the synchronicities, the little flashes of energy you may feel in your body. These are all subtle cues that the universe is revealing to yourself the true person you are. Maybe you see 1111 a lot, maybe you're getting these type of synchronicities. Guys, be aware of this. Intuitively tap into yourself and see what the universe is trying to tell you. So guys, what you might be wondering is then, so I've come into this transitional space, all feels very scary. Okay, Leo, I'm gonna do what you suggest. Maybe it is a good thing, and I do need to trust in the hope that, you know, one day I'll eventually be like another person with a set of ideas and a clearly defined persona. But guys, what you're missing is that we need to not only surrender to what we used to be and enter the space of the unknown and accept that position and be quite content being there in order to move forward, but we also need to change the concept and the way that we previously defined ourselves into a more of an enlightened state. And what I mean by that is going to the very concept of waking up and asking, what are we actually waking up? We are waking up the inner us that's been buried under, you know, a web of conditioning, unconsciousness, falsehoods, and, you know, aspects of non-reality. So you need to redefine, instead of thinking, oh, after this I'm going to be a whole new person with just a different type of ego, we're surrendering to that previous ego in the hope not to build another one, better looking. Although that is possible, you can become, you know, a person with a lot less worries if that's what you want. But to truly transcend and to really, I think, take your life to even much higher level and to experience a much higher reality, we are not only creating a different type of person for ourselves, but we are just experiencing the truth of awareness, the truth of consciousness. Now that we're coming into more of a space of our own being, we're letting that come through deep down. That is the real us, and that's what we're trying to bring forward into the new reality we're also stepping into. So this transitional period is not just about creating another person that you want to be, it's about being the self, being the unidentified, the formless phenomena, which is the most in tune with the higher self, which is one of peace, of bliss, and ease. Like I talk about a lot, you'll soon learn to, you know, go through life with an ease because you've let go of this weight of the former identity, the former falsehoods that you've been carrying. So I hope that explains how being lost is a really good thing. Finally, I'll leave you with this, a quote from Alan Watts. Alan Watts says, trying to redefine yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. It's something that can't be done. You already have a set of teeth, just like you already have this being, which is just starting to emerge. So trying to redefine yourself after a period of being lost doesn't work. It may work, and you know, you'll be easily able to define who you are later on once you're thinking more clearly and once you come into a more clear space within yourself and your being. But for the time being, just think about those words. You can never bite your own teeth. You are already what you are, and it's just coming through and coming forward. And the way to see that best emerge isn't by resisting, like I talk about in a lot of videos. They'll get you further away from what you want, but it's just by accepting and being in that space of the unknown. And for a while, trust yourself and honor yourself in this period, because it's unique. And in many ways, you know, you may look at it one day and think, it was easier then, because it was an interesting space in your life. It was for me. It was a strange period to think back to. I wanted to escape it at the time, but once I learned to accept it, it was a moment where you do learn the most about yourself, because you're doing the most inner work, I think, during the period where you feel lost. There's nothing but inner work. But at the same time, great self-discoveries can be made, and great hints towards your future life can also be found, and many treasures can be uncovered. So what I've suggested in this video might seem a bit radical, like a bit intense, saying that a lot of what you've previously had and thought of your identity are actually falsehoods and you've been playing a character. So I suggest to you guys, don't just take what I've said literally. I suggest trusting this process like I advised, but then you'll get to the point where you start to do the inner work, you start to get to the root of some of your problems, some of the ways you behaved. And once you realize just how much you can let go of, unbelievable amounts that you can let go of, things that you thought were completely core to who you were or who your personality was based around. And once that goes, you realize that it was actually falsehoods. So guys, just take the test, go for it, just try it a few days a month, a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and just trust and keep going, keep letting go, and keep surrendering and keep going into the unknown. So it might seem a bit intense to, lose this person, lose this character. But how many of you really wanted to stay as that character? I know you may be feeling lost now and in the complete haze and wanting to return to things when it used to make sense, you used to really coherently know who you were. But how many of you really want to return to that? Because the whole reason you'd likely to get into this sort of content, maybe you're interested in personal development or spiritual growth. The whole origin of you wanting to get into that content is really to change yourself or to fulfill a potential that you felt was inside you but you weren't able to express that, to level yourself up, to transform yourself. So this is all part of it. If you want a serious transformation of self, you need to be willing to step into this feeling of being lost. And in fact, the more lost you are, the more powerfully this process is taking hold, the more powerfully you are transforming yourself. So when you are feeling lost, rest assured that you're in the right place. And that's my message for you guys. I'm going to wrap now. Just take it as a great sign. Put your faith in God, your faith in the universe, whatever higher power you choose to believe in. Because you already are yourself. You don't need to define yourself anymore. Just let it shine through and let the light be there. Blessings, 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 guys. Goodbye.